Welcome to the Fantasy Draft Weekly Rundown. Joining me as always is co-host and NFL Ironman London Fletcher. London, the playoffs obviously start this week. And I know no games have been played yet, but I wanted to ask you, do you think games are more or less predictable in the playoffs? Basically, in other words, do you think the teams stick to basics come crunch time, or what do you think?
I think they kind of approach it, the same way they've approached all the games from a standpoint of looking at the opponent, seeing where they like their matchups, and then attack those areas. I don't think yeah, it's a playoff game, but I don't think you go out and try to do things differently that have gotten you to this point. Maybe you have a trick player too that you probably have saved for a situation like this. Maybe it's a fake field goal, a fake punt, something like that. You go for it a little bit more aggressively on the fourth down call. So those are things that maybe teams would look to do now, knowing that this is win or go home. But beyond that, I don't think you approach it any differently.
Right. So basically, taking a team like Minnesota for an example, you're not going to want to throw the ball 50 times just because they expect Adrian Peterson 25 times. You want to stay true to who you are, correct?
Yeah, because you got to think about it. That's not the identity of that team. You have to look at it. Okay, well, maybe they might spread them out a little bit more, go some no huddle or spread them out. But you got to think. Teddy Bridgewater has not been that guy that you want throwing the football 50 times. The last time they played, Peterson wasn't too happy about it getting. I think was it only 8 carries or 7 carries, something absurd. So I expect Peterson to get his touches. Now, will they go a little bit more probably play action pass on first down? Probably because you think that's if you're going to take a shot or take some passes, that would be the ideal time to take it. Go play action pass, knowing that they're going to be looking and gearing up to stop Adrian Peterson on first and second down.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Teams, this is what got them there, so they got to kind of stay true to their identity. And if it's
Yes,
worked, it's worked. So
right.
let's get to the picks this week, and I'm going to start with a guy who's kind of made an identity for himself down the stretch, Mister. You like that himself, Kirk Cousins, who I really, really like this week. I really, really like this game, which I wrote about earlier this week. He basically was as hot as you could possibly be down the stretch. He put up at least 25 fantasy points in 4 of the last 5 games that his team tried to win, which means I'm excluding week 17, and he probably would have put up 25 in that game if they kept him in all game. Really, he threw 3 touchdowns in the first half, and that was kind of it. But he also threw for 300 yards in weeks 12, 14, 15, and 16. So it's pretty clear that this Redskins offense is clicking. Again, the Packers are a 1 point favorite, but there's a lot of points being projected to score in this. And I actually wouldn't be shocked if Vegas is wrong here, and Kirk Cousins and the Redskins kind of run away with this because they have looked like a machine on offense recently. Who do you like?
You make a lot of great points when you talk about Kirk Cousins and that offense. I too expect the Redskins to win this ball game. I just like this matchup for them against the Packers. This is the perfect matchup for them in the wild card. They're very happy that they didn't get since Seattle. So this is a great matchup for them being at home, opening the game of the playoffs. Quarterback that I like. I'm gonna surprise you a little bit. I think with this one, AJ McCarron. you know,
Oh,
I like AJ McCarron against the Pittsburgh Steelers secondary. They haven't been great on the season. And you look at AJ McCarron. The first time they played against each other, well, the last time they played against each other, McCarron he came in and threw for 280 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but that was in a reserve situation. Hadn't been getting the starters reps, and those are the only interceptions he's thrown since he's taken over the starting spot. In his 3 ball games after that, as starter, 4 TDs, 0 interceptions. He's completing 66% of his passes, and I like the way McCarron just throwing the football. He has another weapon, Tyler Eifert coming back. He played last week, so you got to think about it. He has weapons to get the ball to, whether it's AJ Green, Tyler Eifert, Marvin Jones, Mohamed Sanu, Bernard out the backfield. So he has a ton of weapons. So I like McCarron, and he's only going to cost you 10-2 on a fantasy draft.
There you go. And if you believe in the winner sort of theory that there's a such thing as people who are winners, AJ McCarron's one of them. So look for him to compete in a big game. Let's move on to the running back position. I'm going cheap here. We were talking kind of before we started recording, and running back is a mess this week.
Yes.
So I think I'm just going to save at the running back position to spend up elsewhere. And Fitzgerald Toussaint is a kind of a name that sticks out to me because D'Angelo Williams was still in a walking boot on Wednesday, meaning the likelihood of him playing basically tumbling by the minute. He finds himself in a spot where he could actually be the lead guy. I mean, it's either him or Jordan Todman, and we've kind of seen the Todman experience before with Jacksonville. I just don't think he's going to be a true guy. So for only $7,700, I think Toussaint's the lead back, and at that cost, count me in. Who do you like this week?
You mentioned the running back. It was difficult for me to select a running back. Most people you would say, "Oh, pick Adrian Peterson," but I don't love that matchup against the Seattle Seahawks defense. You know, the Cincinnati Bengals they use a running back by committee type of thing. It's going to be tough sledding for them facing the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So I'm gonna go cheap on the running back position as well, and I'm gonna go with Jerick McKinnon for the Minnesota Vikings. Doesn't cost a lot, only $7,400. The thing that I like about him is the fact that he catches passes out of the backfield. So when you add in that from a PPR standpoint, he'll catch passes, averaging about 3 receptions a game over the last 3 ball games. But he'll get enough touches as a running back too. So he may get anywhere from 5 to 7 or 8 carries as a running back. So you look at that, and he'll probably have 12 touches in this game. And with his speed and his elusiveness, he has the ability to break off a big player too. So I like him just because of those factors.
There you go. Contrarian play from London. I bet you weren't thinking Jerick McKinnon before you turned on your computer to
I
watch
really
this video.
wasn't. I was not.
There you go. So stay tuned. That's all for the first half, but come back for the receivers, tight ends, defense, and of course the questions.